What is up, Bears fans? And as always, welcome back to the Bear Review. So today on the channel, we're starting a series dissecting the projected numbers for the 2025 Chicago Bears, starting off with our defensive ends. Along with going over these numbers, we're also going to take a dive into the very core of the analytical engine that I use to come up with these predictions. I wanted to go ahead and give you guys something a little different and give you a level of detail that most don't into every projected sack, tackle, pressure generated, and crucial snap count. Now, this video is more of a deep dive, but if you're new to sports analytics, do not worry, because I'm going to start you off by going over the analytical blueprint. So grab a chair, grab something to drink, settle in, and let's get right into it. Now, of course, these projections have to come from somewhere, and the ones here today are a direct output of a rigorous multi-staged analytical framework designed to maximize predictive accuracy. You can think of it as a finely tuned machine transforming raw data into precise predictions. For this video, we used a 4-stage process, which I'm going to put on the screen for you now. Stage 1 is your basic data collection. We looked at things like proprietary snap level tracking, PF upgrades, and individual efficiency metrics like pass rush win rate, among others. In terms of our projected snap counts across this series, we modeled those based off historical usage and depth charts. Now that we have our data from stage 1, we need to select the best predictive model to translate that data. That's where stage 2 comes in. In order to train our model to give us the results we were looking for, we decided on using 3 different models. For more core statistics like sacks and pressures, we chose a gradient boosting machine. Now that's good for capturing complex and non-linear relationships. For tackles and tackles for a loss, we used a ridge regression model. And finally, to predict tackles for a loss conversion from run stops and pressures, we went with more of a logistic regression model. Alone, all 3 have their own pluses and minuses, but together they give us the best predictive model that we can use for this situation. With the model in place, we move on to stage 3, which is contextual variable integration. Now, all that means is we start to integrate real-world factors, such as coaching scheme changes, updating surrounding personnel, and player developmental curves for young players. And finally, stage 4 is where it all comes together and we run the simulation itself. Now, you can run it just one time, and that's fine. Before this series, we ran the simulation 1,000 times per player. I then averaged out those 1,000 outcomes, and that generated our primary projection. Now that you have a basic understanding of how the engine actually works, we can get to what you're really here for, and that's the actual projection itself. First, I do want to quickly throw up a key analytical factors and metrics table for you guys. This is just a list of some of the things that we used, or I used, when running this model in terms of analytical factors such as your pass rush win rate, your run stop percentage, double team rate, etc. I included a brief description of each for you as well as an example of application usage. You can refer to this at any time during the video and subsequent videos in the series. Now let's start breaking down our defensive ends, starting with none other than the big dog, Montez Sweat. Now, Montez Sweat is projected to have 710 snaps and 8.5 sacks. Our GBM model identified double team rate and adjacent interior pressure as key predictors, accounting for 78% of his sack variability. With Jarrett's acquisition and Dexter's growth, our model anticipated a 7% reduction in Sweat's double team percentage to 33% in 2025. This, combined with Dennis Allen's higher scheme aggressive factor score of 1.08, boost his pass rush win rate from 18.5%, where he maxed out in 2024, to 20.5% in 2025. Running our simulation 1,000 times, we consistently converged to 8.5 sacks, with a 68% confidence interval between 7 and 10 sacks total. I'm personally hoping we go above 10 sacks on the year, but I feel 8.5 is a very nice round number he can easily get to. I also have him projected for 60 pressures on the year. Now that's derived from his 440 pass rush snaps and the 20.5% pass rush win rate. For tackles, we have 39. Now that projection is based on his 710 snaps and a 0.055 tackle opportunity rate. Crucially, for tackles for a loss, our logistic regression model fed by 60 pressures with an 18% conversion rate and 30 run stops with a 15% conversion rate to show 10 tackles for a loss on the year. It also showed that he had about 2 forced fumbles based on his historical pressure volume. Overall, not a bad season for Montez Sweat. I expect maybe a little more in reality, but I think this is a good projection overall. Next off, I want to move on to his running mate, Dayo Odeyingbo. Now his role is going to expand to a projected 640 snaps, a 15% increase from last season, including time as his interior rusher. Our model projects 5.8 sacks overall in the year. Now I understand you can't get 5.8 sacks, but more than likely you should see about 6. To get that, we used a weighted average over his past 2 seasons to form a stable baseline. His double team percentage is lower at 15%, benefiting from Sweat drawing attention, and his pass rush win rate is predicted to be about 15.5% due to both favorable assignments and improved interior pressure. This as a whole translates to 44 pressures over his estimated 370 pass rushing snaps. I have him projected at 34 tackles based on a 0.053 tackle opportunity rate and consistent 6.5% run stop percentage. For tackles for a loss, our logistic regression model predicts 6 tackles for a loss from his projected 25 run stops, and 12% conversion from pressures. Austin Booker is conservatively projected at 400 snaps as a third defensive end. That's a 25% increase from his rookie year, allowing for his continued development. For sacks, my model predicts 3.5 sacks. We analyzed year 1 and year 2 progression of similar raw edge rushers drafted outside of the first round, factoring in his elevated 30% double team rate and a cautious pass rush participation of 4.5% over his 400 snaps. This yields 27 pressures from approximately 235 pass rush snaps. He's slated for 27 tackles, adapting his collegiate tackle opportunity rate to an NFL average of 0.065 per snap. Again, using the logistic regression, considering 27 pressures and 20 run stops, we projected 4 tackles for a loss, and a fractional 0.1 forced fumbles is expected. Moving on to one who has a chance to stand out on the defensive line is probably going to be more of a special teamer, and that's Daniel Hardy. Now, Daniel Hardy, I have projected at 180 snaps total, reflecting more of a rotational depth piece. Our GBM model predicts 1.8 sacks. Again, you can't get 0.8 sacks, so it's going to be between 2 and 1.5. With his double team percentage at 30% and his pass rush win rate at 4% overall, indicating he'll face some tough matchups. He's projected for 14 pressures over about 95 pass rushing snaps, and his 12 total tackles are derived from his 0.067 tackle opportunity rate. Again, we go to our logistic regression model on his limited pressures and a projected 9 run stops. Overall, 2 tackles for a loss are anticipated, and we don't have him getting any forced fumbles or fumble recoveries. Finally, to round out the defensive end room, we have none other than Dominique Robinson. Now, Dom Rob is an interesting player. Most see him as a healthy scratch or a possible cut candidate, but I did want to include him in this model just so you can see exactly what we're looking at. Now, Dominique Robinson has an extremely low 50% projected snaps, again signifying his role as a man on the roster bubble. With approximately 25 pass rushing snaps and a 2.5% pass rush win rate, our model gives him a near zero probability of registering a sack. We do project 2 pressures from these minimal opportunities, and he's expected to log 3 total tackles with 0 tackles for a loss and 0 forced fumbles, given his extremely limited projected volume. Okay, so now that we've gone over every player individually, let's go ahead and throw the entire room up on the screen. As we can see, a healthy Montez Sweat returns to form and gives us exactly what we need off the edge. Dayo Odeyingbo is a bit of a wild card. He can honestly go either way, being really good or just being okay. After that, everything else is up in the air. And that was one of my major concerns coming out of the draft for the Bears. Now, the good thing in terms of the defensive line, we still have the defensive tackles to do. However, one thing we do have to look at as the season progresses is, will the Bears look to add another edge as we move forward? Based on these projections, I'm thinking yes. But I want to hear what you guys think. Was there any one of these projections that really stood out to you as something good, or even something that I might have missed, or maybe it was off on? Why don't you let me know in the comments below? And again, if you like this kind of content, smash that like button today and subscribe if you haven't. Again, we're going to continue on with this series with the defensive tackles yet, headlined by Gervon Dexter and Grady Jarrett. Now, that video should be up within the next day or two, so be on the lookout for that. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. This actually was quite a fun project for me to do, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So again, I appreciate everyone for stopping by, and until next time, guys, bear down.